Hi, tonight on the program, banks fear the rising cost of services could impact on post-COVID-19 economic recovery.
For me to quickly replace such a person. So when I identify somebody probably in a month, I expect that central bank will also move in a month or two to get closeness. But sometimes you are taking 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. And there's a reverse risk there.
Also ahead tonight, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers and Ghana Standards Authority to soon roll out added value logo at various petroleum stations to regularly monitor fuel sold by OMCs.
The consumer body, together with the Ghana Standards Authority, will be rolling out an added value logo that says that these outlets have been double verified. What they are delivering to you is nothing but exactly what they promised.
Also tonight in the bulletin, MTN indicates plans to significantly improve local participation and shareholding in business by close of this year.
We launched an employee share scheme last year, which represents about 4.41% over and above what we did in the IPO, which was 12.5%. This means currently we have about 16.9% localization within the business.
Welcome once again. This is Business Live. We've got details after this break. Welcome back from that break. In our first story tonight, banks fear the rising cost of services could impact on post-COVID-19 economic recovery. Speaking to Joy Business at the Maiden Money Summit in Accra, Chief Executive of FBN Bank, Victor Asante, said the situation can be controlled if necessary measures are put in place. Here's a report.
The Money Summit is a day's roundtable platform that seeks to bring together players in the financial space to dialogue on issues pertaining to the sector. The objective is to bring innovation and create policy alternatives to help shape the country's agenda for post-COVID-19 economic growth. After addressing the first panel session, Chief Executive of FBN Ghana, Victor Asante, called on the Bank of Ghana to fast-track processes of appointing some key directors in the sector. He feared that the delay in approving appointments could affect the recovery process for the financial sector and thereby the economy as a whole.
Now, the problem we have with the fit and proper test is the fact that it means that you can't make any senior appointment, any board appointment without a thorough overview from central bank, and they have their own processes, which is fine. Some of the processes include integrity tests and even searching on everything, including what you've done, even police, criminal records, everything, which is fine. The issue that has come to the fore is the amount of time it takes for that to happen. So, for example, if my treasurer resigns today, I have 1 month notice. And indeed, for a treasurer to resign, you probably don't keep him for a month. You have to take him out in a week or two because you can't let somebody who's going to competition stay in your treasury room. So there's an imperative for me to quickly replace such a person. So when I identify somebody probably in a month, I expect that central bank will also move in a month or two to get closeness. But sometimes you are taking 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. And there's a reverse risk there because if you don't have a competent person manning your treasury, what you have is that you probably have genius manning it. And the very risk that you want to prevent from making sure you are getting the right person may manifest itself in the fact that you may not have the most qualified people running it, which is also a risk to you. So all we are saying is that in some instances, we need the regulator to move faster. Meanwhile, Senior Country Manager of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Vish Ashiagbo, says there is no cause for alarm despite the rising cost of banking in the last few months.
Certain sectors are now more risky than others, right? And the whole economic environment is less robust than it was a few years ago. Okay, so automatically the macro environment creates a greater risk to a lender. Okay, So the risk appetite or the focus on risk and mitigations is probably heightened compared to what it was a few years ago. But that's not insurmountable, because I think that, again, these things take time. Over the next few, I don't think it's a short-term solution, but I think in the medium to long term, these things will settle down as the economy begins to revive itself. Some sectors did okay, notwithstanding COVID. Some sectors were significantly hit by the pandemic. You see government policy trying to intervene to support those sectors that need the support, whilst encouraging those that seem to have done okay. So I think over time, these things will even themselves out.
The Money Summit is under the theme, the role of the financial sector in post-pandemic recovery.
Meanwhile, Chief Finance Officer at Fidelity Bank, Atta Eboajan, has expressed the bank's commitment to support the economy recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
You might not have seen a significant uptick in the extension of credit, but it doesn't also mean that we did not support the economy during the pandemic. Because if you have to restructure a loan to a particular client or a particular sector, because they were hard hit by the pandemic, and therefore the ability to continue to service the loans had reduced, then in a way you are supporting, and it's amount to like supporting them during a crisis. We extended direct credit to other sectors that the nation needed most during the pandemic, and I'm talking about the health services sector, the health product manufacturing sector, and also supporting the health services sector, the workers and all that. Fidelity also, as part of our corporate social responsibility, responded to the government's appeal and was one of the banks that sponsored the construction of the first ever isolation center.
When the Monetary Policy Committee appealed to you to reduce the policy rate, have you done that?
Yes, we did that. Fidelity reduced the interest rate on our portfolio by between 1% to 2%, and that alone meant that Fidelity gave away about 10 million cedis in revenue by reducing the interest rate in response to the appeal of the government.
So with Ghana's tax to gross domestic product less than Africa continent's average of about 20.5%, government is doing everything possible to block all loopholes in revenue mobilization. Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, says a strategic model has been adopted to help investors, both foreign and local, realize the full benefit of their tax payment whilst accelerating economic growth. Speaking to Joy Business at the second quarter GIPC CEO's breakfast meeting, Mr. Grant said despite the challenges in tax mobilization, plans are far advanced to make payment of taxes attractive to investors.
At the end of the day, clearly any tax exemption rebate must be planted in law, and if there's no law that enables that, then it means that you have to find another structure to make sure it works. We do recognize that most investors want some sort of incentives, but global literature will tell you that it's not incentives that bring investors to the market. And most of the times, incentives work when you are looking at efficiency seeking foreign direct investment, where they compare one location to another in producing high technical stuff. But for the general market seeking and resource seeking investor, incentives are not as important. What is important is the opportunity and the ability to grow their business. And so we need to take a step back and make sure that we can use whatever incentives we believe we should give very wisely. At GIPC, one of the suggestions that we are making in our reforms is that perhaps we should actually move away from the strategic investor to another tier called the responsible sustainable investor, where we are suggesting that we should only apply our incentives to foreign direct investors who enable us achieve the SDGs, one, and secondly, who partner with local people 2. And 3, other categories that are useful to the economy and brings back value to the economy.
In other news, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers and the Ghana Standards Authority will soon roll out an added value logo at various petroleum stations, which will differentiate the oil marketing companies selling actual liters of fuel from those undercutting consumers. There's more in this report.
Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, says the introduction of the logo will weed out recalcitrant pump stations selling fuel below the Ghana Standard Authority specified standards. Mr. Amoah disclosed when the Ghana Oil Company donated some equipment to the Ghana Standard Authority.
We've worked extra harder in designing something we call the Trusted Trader. And it is our belief that very soon the consumer body, together with the Ghana Standards Authority, will be rolling out an added value logo that says that these outlets have been double verified. What they are delivering to you is nothing but exactly what they promise.
Chief Executive of GOIL, Kwame Osei-Prempeh, says his company will absorb the cost despite the adjustments made in the second pricing window adjustments. He emphasized GOIL's commitment to serving the public in sincerity.
The second window is gone. We ought to have, I believe, we heard COPEC and others saying that we are going to go up by about 8%. We decided to absorb it. We decided not to go up. GOIL, one of our major things is we stabilize prices. All the others look at us. But because we are truly Ghanaian, and we think of Ghanaians, most of you decide that we won't go out. Our profits have come down, but we believe that for your sake, we decided, no, we won't go up. We're praying that going out of the winter, prices on the oil market will come down. The city has stabilized for the past 5 months, so that if price go down on the world market, we are sure Ghanaians that prices will come down accordingly.
Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, indicated that his outfit will increase the number of times they visit the fuel stations from twice a year to 4 times a year to verify if the stations go according to the standards set.
I mean, the VC gauges are quite expensive. I must say, the donation we have today is close to £70,000. So if you multiply by 8, you are looking at over 500,000 cedis. I know that in 1993, GSA bought about 4 more. These are equipment you need to assure yourself that you are checking the volumes delivered by oil marketing companies and that they are accurate. As we speak, as of today, we have only 4 teams doing the work nationwide, purely because of the lack of equipment. Now, with the more than doubling of our capacity by this donation from GOIL, we can create 8 teams, which means that we'll work faster, we'll check better. Thankfully, starting this year, we have doubled the number of times we verify the volumes. We used to do it every 6 months. Now we are doing it every 3 months. Our hope is that once Parliament also gives us the stronger penalties, we can apply them to ensure that consumers will feel comfortable that they are getting value for money and that when they go to the pump, what they pay is what they get.
Telecoms giant MTN Ghana has assured it would significantly improve local shareholding and participation in the business by close of this year. Chief Executive Selim Adadivo disclosed this at the company's virtual annual general meeting in Accra today. George Jaffe was there for us.
The annual general meeting, even though virtual, managed to bring together a small number of its shareholders to deliberate on how the company fared for last year. Almost all the resolutions tabled secured more than 50% approval from its shareholders. Key among them was increasing the number of directors from 10 to 12 by changing the company's constitution to support this move. In his address, board chairman Ishmael Yamson noted that despite COVID-19, they are hoping to increase the over 6 billion Ghana cedis posted for last year in terms of total revenue by 13 to 15%. Speaking to Joy Business after the annual general meeting, Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Selim Adadivo, noted that they are not only looking at giving more shares to Ghanaians, but also improving their holding in other areas in the business.
We launched an employee share scheme last year, which represents about 4.41% over and above what we did in the IPO, which was 12.5%. This means currently we have about 16.9% localization within the business, and we expect to achieve an additional 8.1% by the end of the year. Currently, the plans are in development. We have financial advisors that are working with us, and we're in discussions with government on the modalities to achieve the additional 8.1%. We're confident in the process we've put in place, and we're excited about the opportunity that this brings to Ghanaians to own more shares within MTN and Scancom PLC.
He has also been sharing his thoughts on the planned re-registration of SIM cards for this year.
Sure, I think the way to look at it is the spirit behind the re-registration, which is largely to make sure that we can address security concerns and the fraud that currently exists within the marketplace. We're supportive of this, and we're currently working with government to make sure the processes that are put in place in the execution of this also results in a smooth and seamless execution.
Shareholders also give the board the approval for a final dividend payment of 5 pesos. This brings the total amount of dividend to be paid for this year at 8 pesos. MTN Group currently holds about 83% interest in MTN Ghana.
You're watching Business Live. Still to come in this bulletin, property lawyer and CEO of Comet Properties, Odeneho Tremantin, asking government to set up a $4 billion bullet fund for the housing sector. His thoughts next.
These funds are areas that we will take it, and then because they are concessional loans, I'm paying about 10% in CD terms for 35 years, and then deposit is 20%. Most of us can own houses.
That was our tour around the world for international business news. Some more stories for you tonight. Property lawyer and CEO of Comet Properties, Odeneho Tremantin, is asking government to set up a $4 billion bullet fund under the National Development Bank for the housing sector. He also suggests a digital payment platform to allow people pay their property rate to enable government raise revenue. He spoke to Odilia Ntiamwa on Brick and Mortar.
Odeneho Tremantin says he failed to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange because at the time of the IPO, the 62 million cedis expected to be raised was not actualized. Speaking to Odilia Ntiamwa on Brick and Mortar on Joy Prime, the property mogul called for a $4 billion bullet fund to close the housing gap. He was quick to add that people's disposable income is currently small, though to make a purchase. He indicated that more than 300 houses sit at his site not being bought.
You go to villages now, most of the farming communities and the roofings are all gone. And these funds are areas that will take it, and then because they are concessional loans, if I'm paying about 10% in CD terms for 35 years, and then deposit is 20%, most of us can own houses. And then the demand will be there for us to deliver, we the developers. In fact, as I sit down, when you go to our site at Brekuso, that is Common Hills, we have a lot of houses under construction, over 350 houses. That there are no purchases. Granted that there are one or two problems, like somebody will complain the roads, which we know the government is going to fix it. Even when we finish, those we finished long time, people didn't have money to buy.
On property tax collection, he said that current payment points do not encourage people to pay. Odinoho Tremanting is asking for a digital payment platform.
Recently, we received a message of our tax liability, which is about 800 cedis. The previous time they were giving me 300, I went and insulted them. That why it is too small.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So they brought me 800 cedis.
Okay.
To even know where to pay it was
now
a big problem.
Issue.
So they know, and they had to go around. For almost 1 month, we were holding the money. Then we received a call from somebody that they know they should meet him at American Junction, American House Junction, to give him the money. And he came to us and said, nonsense. We want to see the office and pay it.
So that you can be consistent?
Yes, so that we can be consistent. So later on, he said he was able to locate the place around Bawaleshi, and then we went and paid. It's because I care. That is why we've taken the border to do this. Yeah. So for me, I think we should be able to get credible agents and then give them the power and then demand that payments should never be made by cash. But there should be platforms that we can all pay on.
He also wants the Lands Commission to spread its lands title registry.
We have 19 municipal authorities in this Accra, and now all the municipalities should have their own valuation board, should have a high court, should have a lands registry. The land title registry with only one title registrar over there at Cantonment is totally wrong and unacceptable. Every municipality should have its own high court and have a valuation board and have a revenue office and have a land title registry.
Brick and Mortar shows every Friday at 1:30 on Joy Prime.
And do make a date, Brick and Mortar on Joy Prime. And that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. You can read more about MTN Ghana's annual general meeting, which was held virtually today, AU Day. Thanks for watching our program tonight. My name is Darryl Kwao. We are back same time tomorrow. Goodbye.